In this video I'm going to show you how to change the brake pads on a Volkswagen Golf Mk4. This will be the same for Audi A3s of the same era, some SEATs and some Skodas, also some other Volkswagens as well. First thing you need to do is get the car jacked up and the wheel off. I've covered that in another video. First of all, check the brake pads. Do they need changing? These have gone way past, to be honest. You can see the discs have got some light scoring on them. Very, very light. I think we're going to get away with it this time. But if they are scored to a level where you can actually feel it as you rub your hand down there, then you need to replace the discs as well. In this case, we're just going to do the pads. So if we have a look on the brake caliper at the back by here, we need to pull the cap off there. Like so. That will reveal the Allen bolt that's in there. Do the same with the bottom one, which is located here. Just a dust cover, that's all. You then need to loosen the caliper bolts, located here and here, with a 7mm hex bit, like this, or this. You probably have to buy a special tool, because the hex bit sets you tend to get don't seem to have a 7mm in them. Oh, there we go. But just loosen it for now. So same with the next one. Watch your fingers, and you do have to lift up, unfortunately. Okay, so they're loose now, but don't undo them all the way. You need to get this clip off here now. So take a flat bladed screwdriver, preferably one with a square edge, so you don't end up bending it or snapping it. Alright, same in there. Just pop it off. Whoop, there it goes. Keep all these bits and pieces safe because they need to go back on. So now the spring clips off, you can continue undoing these. Now what it might be worth doing is, if you've got one, rather than using this cumbersome thing, is actually swapping it with an extension bar with a ratchet like that. As you can see, that's a lot quicker. Once they're a bit loose, you should be able to do it by hand, like that. Keep an eye on the thread. If you want to test it, just pop the flat bladed screwdriver there and just give them a little nudge, and you'll see them move up across. You know they're free then, you don't need to keep turning it because you don't want to damage the threads. Make sure both bolts are clear, and then you should be able to remove the caliper. This is going to be a bit of a tight one. Make sure you don't strain the brake pad. If you need a bit of leverage, yeah, flat bladed screwdriver in there, and back in there, and back in there. So there we go. Just wiggle it off. As you can see, the one brake pad stays stuck in the piston there, and the other brake pad is in there. We're going to take those off, like so. Don't let that fall and hang on this pipe here. The best place to put it at the moment is to rest it on there. So with the brake caliper resting on top of the brake disc, put 2 fingers behind there. It's on a spring, so you just pull, like so. And that's how it's in there. This is the side with the sensor on, and as you can see, the sensor has come right off the pad. This will come out of the bracket that it's on there, so just pull that back and wiggle it out. Slide a small flat bladed screwdriver down there, and then just pull. You can pop that back on there. Make sure you put it on the plastic, not on the rubber, like so. And you can plug the new one on there. With everything off like that, it's a good opportunity to give everything a quick clean with a wire brush. Clean all the receivers for the pads. There we go. And give that a clean. Carefully don't catch that rubber there, because that's the seal stopping any contamination going in the piston. Get the worst out. Give it a quick blow. To fit the new pads, the first thing we need to do is wind this piston back, so it needs to go back into the socket here. Before we do that, we need to take the cap off the fluid reservoir. On the Mk4 Golf, the brake fluid reservoir is at the rear of the engine bay on the driver's side. If you undo the cap, it will allow the fluid that's in there to rise. Just leave it loose on the top. We can now wind back the piston. Now there are a few ways of doing this. The easiest way would be if you had a wind back tool, which you place in between there, and as you wind it, it pushes the piston back. You need one of them on the rear pads because they need to be wound back in. This just needs to be pushed back. I've always gone for the good old trusty G-clamp. Place it in there and then just wind it up. as you turn the clamp, so you'll see the piston winding in. It's a slow process. Make sure that the rubbers are going in okay and there's nothing jamming in there, which there is in there. I'm just going to get a small screwdriver, not too sharp. There we go. There's a little bit of dirt caught in that. So make sure that seal's folding back nicely. There we go. That's wound right in now. You can feel it because the G-clamp tightens up. So just undo your clamp. Check they're moving freely as well. Might want to grease them up a little bit if they're not. They seem to be moving fine. I've gone for a set of APEC pads. I've always found them quite reliable. They're always a good fit and they seem to last quite well as well. We've got a set of 4 because you do have to do both sides when you're doing a set of brake pads. Like I said, we're doing the side with the wire on first, so pull that one out. There's only one with a wire on and it's the one that goes into the piston. You can see it's got the clip on there as well and the wire there. The next step, and one of the most important steps, is the use of this stuff, copper grease. That does 2 things. One, it'll make sure that the next time you come to take everything off it's not all stuck together and it'll come off a bit easier, but also it stops the brakes squealing. Just get your finger, don't be afraid, get your finger in there with some gloves on, get a big wad of grease, rub it behind there, rub it behind there, put a little dab on those bolts there so they don't seize, put a little bit just around the rim there, try not to get any on the rubber if you can help it. On the brake pad itself you might want to put some in there, stop those seizing. Also put a little bit by there where the brake pads slide on the runners. Again, try not to get any on the surface of the brake pads. If you do, give them a wipe off some white spirit. Take the brake pad once you've greased it all up and pop it in there. You're going to have to push down on those clips to make sure they're in there. You don't want to end up with those going through the rubber. There we go. So what I do now is I put the pad in there, pop a bit of grease where you can see it's touching, pop a bit of grease in there and on the bottom. Also put a bit around there, but don't forget there's some already behind the caliper. Just place the, there we are, you can already feel that. Fits much nicer with the copper slip on there. You see those screws there? They just need to be pushed right back out there. Same with the top one. Just means you'll be able to slide that on now. So careful as you go. Make sure that wire's out the way there. Slide that in and push the caliper bolts into position. Wind them in finger tight first. You want to make sure that you're not crossing the thread or anything. That's the last thing you need. Believe me, I've done it once. First time I ever done it. Learned my lesson now. So the bottom one as well. Right, so they're in loosely now. Might be worth putting that on now. Make sure that the square piece is at the top. It's shaped. It'll only go on one way. Then just click it into position. You need to take your hex bit. Just feel the pinch on that one and then do the bottom one. Don't get your gloves caught, like me. When you've nipped them up, take the torque wrench. Now I never used to use a torque wrench. I used to just hang on it and think, well, that's tight enough. But I've done that now to 30 Newton meters, as advised in the Haynes manual. Wait for the click. There we go. Just some final finishing touches now. First things first, just pop another bit of copper slip over the edges on the retaining clip. The best way to do this is get the bottom one in, get the top one over there, like that, and get a pair of pliers. Just hold that there, and just squeeze the pliers over. Give it a nudge. Don't forget to put the 2 dust caps on the back. Just push them in. There we go, job's a good one. That's one side done. Once you've finished, press the brake pedal down to the floor and keep pumping it until you've built up the pressure that the brake pedal's gone hard. Turn the engine on, Do the same a couple of times. Don't forget to take it easy on the brakes for the first 100 miles or so. No heavy braking, let the pads settle in. I hope you found the video useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you've got any comments or questions, put them in the box below. I'll try and answer every comment that I get. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel.